running on the US party, and I think this is the first time that you're going to be actually running. Usually you're always in the background, but you also come from a family that they run also in the politics. You have your father that run for a couple of times. You have an aunt that also run, and I think maybe others that I can bring at this particular point. But now you yourself, who is youngest from the two persons that I just mentioned, jumping into the arena. What prompted you to do that?
First and foremost, I have been a department head within the Department of Economic Licenses in the Ministry of TIAT for the last roughly 5 years. And I have seen firsthand the effects of the lack of stability on the progress of this country. Policies that we've been trying to propose, legislation we've been trying to propose, continues to be boggled down in bureaucracy and the lack of stability. So for me, it was time to step up to the plate. I work along party lines. I work with different ministers from various parties, and it really doesn't matter to me once the job gets done. So I feel like with my political maturity and my vision and my willingness to get things done for the country, it was time. It was just time for me to step up to the plate and basically put my money where my mouth is, because I know what needs to get done to better the lives of the people, and I feel like I need to be there actually getting it done.
You mentioned that you are in the background of some of the parties that you supported, and my question is to you, what exactly were you doing in the background of these parties that you supported?
Not in the background. That's not necessarily what I meant. I meant that as a department head, I had to work with various ministers, and the ministers were from different parties. We had a minister from NA, we had a minister from USP, we had a minister from independent members of parliament. So I have had to work with now 7 ministers in the last 7 years, and I have never used my party affiliation, any particular party affiliation, to dictate my agenda when dealing with the people's business. So for me, it's clear sign of political maturity, and it's that type of political maturity that I can take to Parliament.
Now, they have a lot of brickling with parties, changing, government changing, they can cooperate together. You are now coming into the arena, right? What you would like to see change in that area that's not happening every time we have to have an election?
Well, first and foremost, we need stability, and one of the things I'm championing is stability through electoral reform. I believe that the top 15 vote getters across the board should be elected to Parliament. And what that does is you are no longer getting into Parliament on the merit of the votes that the party or your party leader pulled. And so you can make decisions, conscious decisions in the best interest of the country, and not decisions based on what your party or what your party leader wants you to do. So in that sense, to me, we will get a more mature, a more responsible, a more accountable member of Parliament.
Now, you know that throughout the years, since 10 to this point, that people are saying that the Parliament, people who are being elected to Parliament, is not really working. What difference would you make?
I agree 110%. I think in the last 7 years, we've probably seen 2 or 3 legislations passed, and I believe it's important to establish or to create a legislative department within Parliament. And one of the things I propose is to reduce the salaries of members of Parliament, and then to use those savings to create a legal department, whether it's 3 legal advisors or 5 legal advisors. Those details can be worked out based on the budget, but we need to do it, because that's one of the excuses that every member of Parliament makes, is that they need their high salary because they need to dip into their pocket to pay a legal professional to draft and propose laws for them. But we haven't seen any laws. So, for me, it's a bit of an oxymoron, to be honest. And I believe that we really need to, 1, look at the salaries of the members of Parliament, and 2, implement a no work, no pay policy. Basically, you have to show up to work, not just when there are meetings. You show up to work. You have to draft legislation. You have to bring legislation to the floor of Parliament to basically better the lives of the people. And once you're not doing that, then to me, you're not doing your job. So we need to implement things that make members of Parliament more accountable to the people.
Now, you joined the party. They have captured 3 seats in the last election, right? What made you to join this party?
Okay, that's an interesting question. During the last, year, um, as a department head within the ministry, I worked under a USP minister. As I stated before, this is now the seventh minister in 7 years, so I've had experience with quite a few ministers, and I believe that that experience I had with the USP minister was the best experience. I felt like there was vision there, not just from the minister, but the entire support system in the cabinet and the party. Um, there was vision, and there was this sense of empowering the department heads to do what they feel they need to do in order to have their department function the way we feel it needed to function. So because of that, and because of the vision that I saw, I felt, I really need to see this government back in power, because with them I didn't feel like it was about self, but it was really about the country and the services that government provide and improving those services. So because of that, I decided to align myself with that party, because I do want to see them back in government, and I can stand behind what they stand for.